Welcome to the channel. Do you like to hunt and fish but hate cleaning your game over undersized tables where you're bent over with a sore back all day? Or you don't like doing it on your tailgate or in your wife's kitchen where you get duck feathers all over the house? Well, let me tell you, it doesn't have to be like that. Come on over here. Let me show you what it could be like. You can make your very own meat processing table with all the modern amenities. Cutting boards, a sink, a knife block, paper towel, soap dispenser, and I can show you how to do it all for under $100. Alright guys, here is the current plan for the meat processing table. It's going to be about 2 feet deep, it's going to be 43 inches tall or 3 foot 8 inch, and 7 foot wide. Again, this is for my brother-in-law, so I estimated based off of my height and kind of guessed what I thought would be comfortable for me to cut. He's about my height at 6'3", so if it's a little too tall or I guess not too short, I guess if it's a little too tall, he can cut some off the bottom of these feet. But here is the current plan. So that's the rough dimensions for height, width, and depth. Everything else will kind of change as I go because I'm using a lot of scrap wood, so we'll see how things work out. But current thought process right now, it's all going to be built around this sink that I got from Facebook Marketplace. We are going to have the sink put in here. It's not going to be plumbed or anything, so it's just going to drain right into a 5-gallon pail. That's the reason for this bottom shelf. There'll be another bucket here or a tote of some form, so you can just throw scraps into it as you're cutting and cleaning. These are going to be magnetic knife blocks, so as you're cleaning, you can throw a knife up here, and then while you're grabbing something else or doing whatever, you don't have to worry about it getting lost in the fish or deer or whatever. And then after you wash or clean a knife off, you can throw it up on this one so that it doesn't fall back into the nastiness. I'm going to leave about a foot to the left of this sink, so when you are cleaning, if you want to have a bowl over here to put meat or whatever into this area, or when you're cleaning stuff and you don't want to put it back over here, you can put it here and it won't get as gross. Paper towel holder and soap dispenser will also be put up there. These are cutting boards. I'm probably just going to drill a hole in each corner and then find some flat-headed bolts or something I can put through them so you can take the cutting boards off and then you can clean them, but they're also not going to shift around while you're cleaning. 7 foot's pretty long, but again, I want a foot on this side of the sink. The sink is 15 inches by 15 inches, so I need some room for that. And then I want a good amount of space between each cutting board so that while you're cutting, you're not bumping into the guy standing here or here. And then for the 2 foot deep, the plan with that is there should be enough room that if you have a hind quarter or something, you can be cutting on the cutting board and still have enough room either to the left or straight back to put it so it's not you're not running out of room or bumping into things. Also, you could stack a bunch of fish up back here while you're cutting one up here. Just, I don't know, I feel like it's a good amount of, it's a good depth. It's not so deep that this table is going to be gigantic. Well, it is going to be pretty big, but it's not too small either. And then finally, I don't have it drawn on here, but I plan on putting casters on here. I just don't know what side yet. More than likely the sink side. I got to figure it out, but that way you can roll it around on your own. But essentially those will probably just be tucked on the inside on a slight angle, the inside of the legs, and then you'll be able to lift up the side of it and roll it around. But anyhow, here's the current plan. Let's get to building it. Alright, I will walk you guys through this while I'm time-lapsing different parts because I'm sure you don't want to watch me just slowly cut things. But yeah, let's get to it. Alright guys, so here I am just measuring out this backboard, get it to 7 foot, same as the tabletop, and cutting that down to size. New miter saw off of Facebook Marketplace, $10, not a bad deal. Measuring out the legs to 43 inches and then cutting those. These are just old 2x4s I had laying around. A lot of what I'm going to be using is from Home Depot. Their scrap or warped area. It's all like 70% off, so it's a pretty good deal. I think I spent like $25 or $30 on lumber total. Now I am setting the miter to a 45-degree angle. These pieces are going to be under the tabletop, supporting the legs. So just cutting a 45-degree angle so they pair up nicely and they're not just two flat ends touching each other. I cut a couple test runs first because this miter saw is new to me. Just want to make sure it was square, which it was not. Yeah, these boards are super warped. That'll kind of be a theme throughout this, you guys will see. But I make a ton of cuts to try and get these things to square up. You can kind of see there how bent and warped out of shape these are. I'll show you guys later a little bit better footage of that. But it was a real pain getting these legs screwed together because of the boards being so warped, as I'm sure you can imagine. Things just didn't want to square up well, so I was using clamps and everything else in my arsenal of limited woodworking knowledge to pull things together. but it ended up working out. Things, you know, I forced things to be square and I forced things to mate up, and the more support and the more cross members and sections I added to it, the firmer and more sturdy it got. So if you're using warped wood, it's not impossible, just a little bit more frustrating, a little bit more challenging. So here I am cutting 2 supports. I will frame out the sink afterwards. These are just for roughly where people are going to be standing and actually cutting. You can see I was getting measurements for where the sink's going to be. A lot of this stuff, like I said earlier, I just kind of eyeballed as I went and kind of measured as I went. So sorry I don't have exact measurements to give you guys. I know I gave you the rough dimensions in the drawing earlier. I pretty much stuck to those and just eyeballed it as I went. Alright guys, as anyone who's done anything with woodwork might expect, this is booty cheeks because it's warped. You can even see over there it's lifting off the ground with how warped these boards were. Kind of an idiot. I thought maybe I could correct it, but we're going to roll with it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But the next problem, because this board is so warped, I don't even know if, yeah, you guys can probably see that. It's curving up and out. Anyway, because it's so warped, it's starting to split at this knot, inside and out. So if I turn this in like I need to, I'm afraid it's going to split. So what I've done is create this little brace. I was going to do braces like this anyway, but now I'm going to put this here and try and basically put a screw here and a screw here, I guess more like that, to try and anchor either side of this knot. Whether or not this will work, I have no idea. We will find out. Alright, so fitting this brace up ended up working out pretty well. I don't think that board will ever crack, especially once I get the tabletop on later. I think it'll do just fine. So just screwing the braces in, like I said, flipping this thing over and making sure it's somewhat level, which it was. Alright, well, it looks pretty trashy, I'm not gonna lie. None of these corners really match up super well. They match up better down here, which I guess is better than not. But I don't know if you just saw that or not. This board, or this foot, just moved on its own. So I pull this back out. There's so much tension on it. If I lift this up, it goes right back to where it was. Again, because everything's warped like no one's business. So plan is get the top on here, sink some more screws in it, hope and pray that I can get everything level. Well, actually it is all level, shockingly. Hope and pray I can get everything square and not twisting. My little brace over here is holding up somewhat. I might put another piece of wood on the back of it because this is going to be the back end anyway. I might put something on the back side of it. I don't know. I don't really want to make it thicker that way if I don't have to. Anyway, we'll get to that. But only other concern I have right now is if this is too tall. So I'm thinking my brother-in-law's about my height. If I'm cutting, you know, we're going to have another inch sitting off the top of this. I roughly eyeballed it when I came up with this height, so if I'm cutting, I don't want to have my arms and shoulders, you know, all shrugged up. I also don't want to be way down here bent over. So my plan is get the top on, see what it's going to be like. I think it is going to be just a tad too tall. Yeah, I'll probably cut an inch or a half inch off the legs, and that should be good, but we'll figure it out as we go. Like I said, this doesn't feel terrible right now, but it's a little high. I feel like I need to be comfortably, I'd be right about here, which is about an inch into this area. So anyhow, we'll keep knocking that out. All right, this was a real pain to try and get this tabletop on. You can see how out of square everything is. Nothing's lining up. So this is a pain, but I just started on one corner, worked my way around, fit all the corners, and then went down the line, just pushing all the edges in and then drilling them in. I'll show you guys here in a second. I used a hammer and a screw to try and build leverage. I'll show you what that looks like here. Alright guys, here's a nifty little thing I just figured out. I just did it on the other side. I'm not going to take the screw out to show you guys, so I'll show you over here kind of. But I was struggling to, you probably saw in the time lapse, to push this in and make this flush on the other side. And, you know, I'm reaching across trying to pull, but I only got 2 hands, and push with my hip and yada yada yada. Well, what I did, and I'll show you in a second, is I just drilled this screw in, and then with that I was able to take the hammer, hook into it, and press back and give myself enough leverage that with this hand I could hold the board, and my other hand I could drill this in. So I'll show you that real quick. All right, this might not be quite as good of an example, just because this lip isn't quite as big of an overhang as it was on the other side, but I'm not able to push this in. So drill this into our top. We need a little more than that, actually. All right, then. Also, I'm an idiot. I should have screwed this in over here, but the principle still works. Now I'm able to press down on this hammer on the back, which gives me a ton of leverage. As you guys can see, that just straightened out. So it pops out. Now it's back in. While that's in, I can drill my pilot hole. Drill my pilot hole. Come back over here. Oop. Get my impact driver. Start that. Push it back in. Well, trying to show you guys I messed up. Drilled through the side of it, but you get the principle. You can create a lot of leverage by doing this, and then when you're done with it, obviously you just take this guy back out. And then you're all set. Cool little nifty trick, just don't do that. For those of you wondering to what degree of warped are we working with, let me show you guys here. You can see just how warped that board is. So not only is it turning right, then back left, then back right, it's also got this huge bow in it. So this is the type of stuff I'm working with here, obviously by choice, but yeah, that's why things are not perfect, but that's all right. It's fish cleaning the table. So, all right, day 2 working on this. I am just making sure all my measurements are good before I cut stuff. Measure twice, cut once, as they say. So I am cutting I guess I don't know what the name would be, but there's like the side walls for the lower level of this now, kind of like I did for the upper. Just measuring, like I said, make sure everything was good. Make those cuts on the 45-degree angle again, try and get stuff to pair up. This added a ton of rigidity to the table, so with it already being warped, it was kind of a little bit not uneven, but not stable. So this really helped pull everything together and force things to be in line with each other. All right, for those of you who have used a miter saw a lot in your life, maybe you can help me with this. You can see, hopefully you can see. Yeah, if you look at this edge, it's thinner down here, like right up to the edge, and then like the cut is right up to the edge, excuse me, and then it thickens up. And it's weird. It's like the saw is not hitting at the same angle on the way down. Like it's cutting here, but then as it goes down the line, it's not cutting at the same angles, almost what it looks like. But it's also pretty square across. I don't know. This is interesting to me. I've had this issue now with a couple different pieces. Sorry, it's not focusing on you. I've had this issue with a couple different pieces now, and I'm not really sure why. I set the miter saw up to the best of my knowledge the correct way. Got it on a 45-degree angle. Yeah, I got everything set up how it should be, I would assume. I don't know if it's just because it's old and used in Facebook Marketplace, but yeah, if anybody's got any suggestions on how to not have this happen, let me know in the comments down below. I don't think it's a huge deal. Everything seems to square up still pretty well. I just don't like the way that looks, and I know that's not right, or at least I don't think it's right. So yeah, if you know how to fix that, let me know down below. All right, here I just used these little pieces as braces while I was cutting the legs a little bit shorter because they were a little bit too tall, like I said. But measuring out the sink, cutting that out. I actually cut this square. I should have cut it circle. You can kind of see the corners where I cut underneath the sink, but it's fine. Now I'm just cutting the braces for underneath the sink. Make sure that it's in there good, nice and snug. And now, like I said, these I guess I don't know what they'd be called, but these frame edges or whatever, like I said, they really held everything together pretty well. They're super warped as well, though, so it was a little bit of a challenge to get them on and get them square, but it really did pull the table together. getting more measurements for inside braces again. I did 3 across the bottom just because I figure with the bucket and the scrap and trash that'll be on here, it'll be good to have a little bit of extra support just for the weight distribution. Here I'm just measuring out what this bottom table is going to be. It's going to sit along the edges of these supports. So I don't have an exact measurement for you guys. It was a little bit wonky because not everything is perfectly square on this table, so it might be a little bit different for you if you're building this. Just get your best measurements of the inside edges, measure twice, and make the best cut you can. Again, mine wasn't perfect, and I really don't remember what the measurements were, just because it was different on both sides slightly, but not too hard to do. Measure and cut. This is super bowed. This was a nice Home Depot find, but couldn't get it down on the sides. I actually had my wife sit on it while I drilled it in and got it all flattened out. And good luck to my brother-in-law if he ever unscrews it. All right, so I got this little compression fitting to a garden hose. This is actually a dishwasher adapter, but I'll put a link up on screen for what this is. But anyhow, I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want to run this. My thought process is right now, since I got two hoses or 2 lines, hot and cold, and I'm only going to have 1 hose running to this at a time. My thought process is put these in separate places. I was just going to cut one off, but I think what I'm going to do actually is drill a hole here and up here on this cross member. That will tuck these up out of the way. I'll run one up through there and then down this outside leg, and then do the same thing over here. Run one up through there, over, sorry, hopefully you guys are following me, and then down this outside leg. And then this fitting can go, or could be switched back and forth if you wanted to, but that way my brother-in-law can decide where exactly he wants to put his hose, because if it's backed up against a wall, this is being the back side of it, you don't really want this sticking out somewhere here, because then you can't get it flush. I could just put it like right here. That wouldn't be a huge deal. Should pretty much always be reachable, but if this is in a corner and then you can't reach it, I don't know. So I'll probably end up just running this hose here and this hose through here and leaving this off until I see where he most likely will put it, and then this can just be screwed on at that point. I don't know. I'll keep you guys posted. All right, guys, don't be stubborn when you are woodworking like me, because I am not a pro, and it would have been a lot easier if I just took the sink out rather than trying to drill this hole, but I'm stubborn and didn't want to. But yeah, make your life easier, not harder, like I am. So drill these holes out, and that'll keep the hoses out of the way and out of the bucket. Now I am just trying to figure out this back wall. I ended up changing my design, as you guys will see here. I added a shelf. For a couple reasons. One, I wanted to get the soap dispenser up a little bit higher, and the paper towel holder as well, to keep them out of any water or blood or anything on the table, but also just to give you a little bit more storage space for a place to put knives or a coffee cup, whatever you want, that's off the table and a little bit more raised. This is probably the worst looking part of the whole table. It is a little bit bowed, and there's not a lot I can do about that. So it looks a little janky, but it ended up working out. So cut a little back plate for that soap dispenser to give it some standoff from the shelf, that way it fit, and now screwing the back wall on, or the backboard, excuse me. Alright, so you guys can see a little more clearly what I did is I took a bunch of wood glue and I filled this crack all the way down, and then I took sawdust, threw it in here, and then I took a piece of wood that I cut earlier, just a little angled piece, and then I took this and I pressed all that sawdust, show you guys, down in there nice and tight, and I was dragging it along to try and get all the spots so I didn't miss anything, and then I pushed it down in there. Sorry, I'm doing this behind the camera. There we go. Pushed it down in there, got it nice and flat. I did that all the way down the line. The reason I did that is because there was just a slight gap. Like you guys know, everything I'm using is warped. And I know how much of a pain it is if when you're cleaning, you have something on a table like this and you're cleaning a bunch of fish, and then it doesn't take much for a little bit of blood and guts or whatever to get down in here, and then it's hard to get out and it's just kind of gross. So the goal was to fill this up. That way when I paint over this, there'll be a nice even space that's filled, rather than kind of dipping down in there and allowing nasty stuff to get collect in there. Actually, you can kind of see a little bit. Part of the reason is it's warped. Other part of the reason is I'm struggling to get it to be perfectly straight. You can kind of see where it starts turning out here as opposed to down there. But anyhow, that's about what the gap looked like right there. So I just fill it with wood glue, and then with this guy right here. And once this dries and I paint over it, I'll wipe all the extra stuff away and sand it if I need to. But once it dries, it should be a nice even surface. This would be a good chance, guys, to let you know I have another YouTube channel called The Warrior's Garden. I talk about masculinity, Christianity, and guns, stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, look in the bio of this channel, and that will be there. Here I am just flattening out the ends of these bolts that were squared off, and they wouldn't fit through the holes I drilled, so I just squared them off a little bit. And I like these bolts because they got a flat head, so they shouldn't protrude too much while you're actually cutting on the cutting board. I also have an Instagram. It's called The Warrior's Garden YT for YouTube. Follow that as well, and you get more content and a heads up before I post videos. Cleaning off the table now. Go outside and blow this all off with the leaf blower. Just get all the dust off before I paint it. Also sanded some of these rough edges you guys will see here in a second. Also, if you've ever made a fish cleaning table like this, let me know down below, or what you guys would have done differently, what you guys do or don't like. Let me know below, and maybe incorporate it in the next one I build someday. I'm sure there's something I could have added that I didn't think about. This is Bear paint from Home Depot. It's a deck stain and protective coat. So it's supposed to be good for like 10 years or whatever when it comes to water and sealing. Or yeah, sorry, it's a stain and sealer. But so anyhow, this should give the wood good protection. And obviously I'll be cutting on top of it, but as long as you're on the cutting boards primarily, this stuff should hold up to any water that sits on here or any blood or anything. That's the goal, is to protect the wood. It's not like it's a crazy nice wood anyhow. If you ever have to replace the top, you can pop it off and put a new one on. So again, Bear deck and stain and sealer is what it was from, what it's called, from Home Depot. Just picked a nice light color, and yeah. All right, she is all painted. I didn't do like the undersides of the table, top, or like you can see way back in there, but I hit everything that's going to have water touching it or could have water seep under it, since I'm not going to caulk the edges of the sink in here. That way it's removable in case there's ever an issue. I painted in there, and anywhere water could run down, painted like this bottom edge, because water obviously when it runs down this face can sit and drip off of that. But anywhere that water is going to sit, I did paint. It's lifted up right now. I did paint underneath on the feet, on the bottom of them, just in case it does sit in water for some reason. And other than like a couple cracks like this that I tried filling with paint, and obviously didn't do perfectly, nothing else that should sit and soak with water. Everything's got 3 to 4 coats of paint on it, so except for the back, where hopefully water really never gets to, but like the top's got 4 or 5 coats. This has got 4 coats. The legs have 4 coats, which might be a little excessive, but I bought the paint for this. I might as well use it. And this is going to be getting used with knives and cutting and all that good stuff. And I get a knife will go through paint, but the more durable I can make it, and the more waterproof / resistant I can make it, the better. This is the best part, guys, putting all the final pieces on. So throwing the sink in there. After that, the soap and paper towel holders, and then my wife was cleaning the sink out there, and then throwing the cutting boards and knife magnet block up. Right there I was using an angle grinder to flatten some screws out that came out a little further than I thought they would. But yeah, guys, this is the cleaning table. Let me know again if you make something like this or have made something like this down below, what you would do different or what you like or don't like. I'm always curious and to hear other people's thoughts and try and improve my own stuff, whatever I'm making. So yeah, let me know down below. Again, hopefully you like it. If you like this type of stuff, like I said, subscribe. I got another channel if you're into guns, politics, and masculinity / Christianity. So yeah, anyhow, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.